Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of Talkin Town. My name's Adam, and I'm joined by my constant co-host Steven. Steven, how are you doing today?
Hello, yeah, I'm doing okay. I don't know. World stress is I think getting to me. I don't know. I feel like it's a combination of like I have work stress and I have world stress,
Mm.
and I'm like I don't know which one it is or if it's both.
It's a mishmash, you know,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
you're not even playing it day one. Like, come
Come
on,
on. Yeah.
you get to spend a whole
That's what
extra.
makes it so much more
Yeah, you.
difficult though. It feels like
You get to
because I
spend a
have to
whole.
lock in what feels like so much earlier, right? Because you have to log in
Oh,
Thursday, and I'm like, no, I wanted information.
yeah. The information. I mean, here's the deal. That information would be spectacular. Unfair, in my opinion. I'm so glad they didn't do that. You still don't have to play 8 rounds of Swiss. So there's,
That's fair.
you
That's
know,
fair.
in a whole wide open meta. But you sound like a guy that has had a lot of time practicing, but still unsure. Am I throwing my guess out there correctly about what you're taking?
Yeah, that's. I have no confidence in anything.
Yeah, it feels like if it doesn't run force throw, I don't know if I want to play it, but if it runs force throw, does it beat the other force throw deck? That's kind
Yep.
of that's where I'm at.
Yep.
Um, we talked about force throw all last week, so I'm not gonna run through that all spiel again. But what we can talk about today is something we talked about previously. It kind of doesn't really make much sense but we're gonna do it. Prepare for takeoff, or basically just tournament prep. While Steven gets to antagonize over a whole nother day of uh, not playing but getting to skip Swiss, a few of us have to be ready for Friday. And what I'm gonna be doing is basically making sure I at least get to bed at a good time Thursday. Um, I mean, I get there at like 6 in the morning, so I'll be fine and tired. But I get a little tournament anxiety. How about you?
Oh man, I feel like I get the worst tournament anxiety out of anyone. I think you can vouch for me on this.
Man does
I
not
have
eat.
physical. Well, it's not just that. I get physical manifestations of anxiety. I think like it's bad.
It's such a strange like human behavior, and I'm saying it from an analytical point of view. It's like, why am I so anxious to play a card game, something for fun? But the real we're here for something bigger. Do or do not. There is no trying. We can take this one home. Um, but that's what I think right now. Your anxiety is better because you're still playing. You know what I mean? Like you're putting in the reps to figure things out. Even if you don't have a deck locked in, the practice is also a huge part of preparing. So
That's true, but it feels like I'm massively behind on that too because I'm so uncertain. I'm just like I honestly don't even feel like I've put in nearly the practice that I need to, which is crazy.
it's what I'm figuring out though is there's so much of it right now that just feels like if it doesn't go your way fast enough or early enough, then you're just either going to get blown out of the water or it was a bad matchup. So it's like, can they go over top UV faster? You know, it, it's a very open meta, which is really cool. But some of the things that are interacting with themselves, like so much of red blue hero, is just like, all right, do you have the Luke on the big turn? Do I have the big Luke on the big turn? Do we both have Fells ready? Do we have Fells ready after that?
I think
But
I think the other thing too is I mean I don't know how everyone else feels, but I think there's just a lot more time getting put into online playtesting,
yeah,
and I feel like I have always been much more of a in-person playtester. So I think that's also part of the reason it just doesn't feel like I'm nearly as comfortable because I think there there it does it to me it feels like a significant difference between playing online and playing in person. It's like poker, right? You could be a very, very good online poker player and you could be terrible at the table, right? Because you
Yeah.
have all these physical tells or whatever it is, and I've always been much more effective. It feels like playing at the table than
Well,
playing online.
you can study your opponent's actions easier. Like
Yeah.
if I take like 5 seconds but still make the correct play on online, then was he just hesitant at the table, or did he just think that he maybe had another idea? You know, like you can see their bodily like reactions to the questions you present them. Which is another important thing, along with tournament prep, is just like over the board practice and like mechanically playing cards is more important at any given point. I said this I think with Vader last time, but like you always have to remember, Vader can only create a token when a non-token vehicle unit has attacked. So I had to always remind myself, like, I can't do this off of a regular token, but I cannot miss these triggers. So I just have to basically practice and practice and practice doing this over and over. Because online's not going to teach you that. It'll teach you to click it, but it's not going to teach you to tilt your card, grab a token out of your, deck box, your pile or wherever, and put it on the table physically. Tell yourself, I have to make a token. I have to take the force. That's going to be a huge one in next, a week and a half from now. Because if your opponent decides to say or take a, they take a maneuver or take an action and they attack with something and they don't generate the force, and you take an option with game knowledge after that, that's your opponent's mistake. And you are not in the biggest tournament of the year. It is not your obligation to babysit your opponent. There's irreparable game states, and in this case is gaining the force. I mean, it's not a may, but like, what would you say if this happened to you, Steven? Well, how would you feel?
If you were to like try and use the force, but you don't have the force, is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Or
So like earlier this turn, I swing with Secret of Sage, and then I go to play Kiadi Mundi, but I forgot to put that I have a force token out. I've gained the force. Would you call your opponent on trying to use Kiadi Mundi? Would you? And this isn't.
So in that scenario, because if you can reliably backstep and
Mhm.
confirm whether or not you have the force,
Yeah.
like it's not like an irreparable game state. You can both, consciously agree. Like you could very easily have a judge come over,
This happened.
like
Yes.
this happened. It's not like, hey, I chose to gain the force, right? It's
Yeah.
just it's that game state. Now, so I don't think I can shark, anybody on doing that, right?
Yeah.
Because
Nor should you try, but it's also like,
now it
yeah.
doesn't mean that it's not you shouldn't make sure that you're keeping proper track of your game environment, and you know all information is displayed as clearly as possible, particularly
Yes.
with gaining the force. But if on the other hand you attempt to use the force and you can't use the force, um where you play a Kiadi, I'm going to use the force, and it's like, actually, you didn't have the force. It's like, oh, well, I don't want to play Kiadi anymore, and it's like, that's kind of a sorry, bud,
I feel
right?
terrible for the judges this next weekend, because
Yeah.
that is going to happen more than anything else that this game has ever seen. And you know what? I hope they're ready for it, because that in specific interaction will probably happen a lot.
See, the other thing with that too is I think it's one of the things that I need to get better at, per se, because I feel like I'm almost too nice at the table and be like, "Oh, yeah, you very clearly didn't do that right. So, yeah, you can take that back." Because I feel like if I don't let them do that, then I'm like, "Well, I'm not fairly winning, right?"
And you know what?
But at the same time, if I were to do that same play, I am not asking my opponent to be able to take that back in an event. That's right. It's
Yeah,
like, oh, I messed up. That's on me. I can't. Why would I expect my opponent to be like, I just made a mistake? Like that's me just making.
exactly.
It's like the same thing as doing any other action, and then realizing afterwards that you did something in a wrong order, right, or
Mhm.
whatever it may be. So it's just like me personally, I need to get more consistent about just more consistent about how to approach those situations. If I'm gonna punish myself, I should also hold my opponent to the same standard.
Yes, it goes to say that there's really no right or wrong answer to this. I understand what sportsmanship means, but at the end of the day, if you make a decision, also forgetting that knowledge of your opponent not acquiring the force, and it matters in the game state, into later part of that like same turn, that if they had it or if they didn't have it, like there's going to be so many times that with initiative an Anakin player is going to kill their Yaddle, kill the opposing Yaddle or kill the opposing Yoda, and trying to keep them off the Force is very important. It's just a mechanic that's going to matter so much, and I feel bad because I don't want, the rule sharking. You're going to avidly try your hardest to remind your opponent, like as most people should, that the game state should be kept this way. But also, like, if you forget for them or you don't tell them and they forget and then you forget the same, you can't. It's not your fault to manage their board as well. I know, like, there's, this goes the same way for a lot of things. Your opponent misplays the cost of something. Well, whose fault is it? Because the game state is judged by both players. That comes down to intent. That comes down to a lot of things. And unfortunately, sometimes it results in, total matches being blown out, just irreparable game state, which is the last thing any judge wants to see. But in this regard, it's just remember to just mechanically prepare yourself for everything you do. You could, even if it's just fishing, where you're just sitting down at the table, playing the sequence without an opponent, like that's just it gets your body in the rhythm, and I cannot stress it enough. It's like it should be the first thing. If you took anything away from everything we did or talk about today, please do that. So,
like, honestly, if you want to nail down how to use the Force effectively, what might be a good idea? You hand your opponent whatever you're using for the Force, and you ask for it back and hand it back whenever you're trying to use the Force.
no.
I'm like, because that's that's an interaction that you're having to keep track of between both players, and it's also beneficial for your opponent.
I know K2D just released a video earlier this week about what we're talking about here, to just this mental step that you can, or physical and mental stuff that you can remind yourself. And I think Bobby said, just say it out loud. I'm attacking and I'm gaining the Force. That way, at least you said it, and if something happens like the situation we had referenced there, then at least your opponent heard you say it, and at least that's one more thing that you feel comfortable with saying, like, oh, I have to go back, like, an action, like I attacked with my Secretive Sage, so I should have the Force. But again,
it's all about ensuring that you can maintain, you can go back and jog each other's memories, right? It's the same thing with keeping track of life, right? It's going to be a major event. People are going to be writing down life totals and also having to manage life on board.
Yeah.
And I know I'm only usually consistent about making sure one is accurate, and usually it's the pad if I'm only doing the pad. So there's a lot of instances where it's like, oh wait, what's your health, and I'm like, oh sorry, I only did it on this thing as opposed to on board. So it's just making sure that you do your best to keep track of all that.
And it's
because the other thing too is, if you run into all these game states that you have to constantly repair, how much time are you wasting at the event, right? Because I know we expect probably a fair bit of mid-range decks to exist, and either those mid-range decks are one's going to just win relatively quickly because the other one's going to get out tempoed, or they're probably going to go pretty late game and when it's just back and forth, and that can go into time very easily. But if you're constantly having to repair game states like that, you're not helping yourself.
No, and if you're like me at all, I would tilt myself. Like I would feel bad that I am doing this to them, And sometimes that's why I've just played very linear decks, because I can just lock in. It's not so much not think, it's basically that the things I have to think about are more focused, which like a basic, like I had said earlier with I'll attack and I'll gain the force, restore is just something that's already on the card and it tells you what to do. But when I say I'm going to attack with, Yaddle, I'm going to hit your base for 2 and restore 1. So like I'm already, manually taking 1 off my health while putting, their life total's going up by 2. It's 2 things you have to keep track of. And if you're doing it on pen and paper, then yes, even more important, because that's just a whole another little interaction that you did. Other stuff we can talk about though for tournament prep is obviously, like I said, get your sleep. You can do whatever. It's Las Vegas. Have fun. But if I'm more ready,
till 2 in the morning.
Do it for 3.
Do it till 3.
Yeah. They don't close. Vegas never sleeps. But we're here for some card games, And day 1, there's going to be a lot of people, and you may have a little bit of an edge if you get a little bit of sleep. Bring all your cards. Don't do what I've seen people do, where they've showed up to a tournament without everything and hope they can either find it, borrow it, or get it from someone else. Bring extra sleeves. And then on top of that, don't put more than your entire deck in your deck box. Like, if they hand you a promo for the event, put it in another deck box. Put it somewhere else. Because you cannot, and you will get in trouble if you get deck checked. There will just be issues, unfortunately. And the judges, they're kind of gridlocked into the rules in some scenarios, but hopefully if this happens to you, just understand that they're probably going to warn you as well, and they don't want to have to deal with handing out penalties of any kind because of this stuff. So make it easier for you, make it easier for them. Yeah.
If you get deck checked and you have extra cards, that's a game loss.
Yeah.
And you go to game 2 and you are not able to side deck.
And yep. It's really unfortunate. I've seen it. Just remember, at the end of your previous round, put your deck back together, or go somewhere and sit down and put it back together. Just a sideboard scenario is also a game loss, because your
main deck is not presented as intended.
And as far as I'm aware, at some of these events, they do a lot of deck checks. They also have a lot of staff. So just be prepared that it could happen to you at any time. It's nothing bad. They're just doing their job. Snacks be throughout the day, unless you're a big meal person in the morning. I'm usually not. I'll try and munch on like a protein bar and caffeinate accordingly, rather than just all of it at once. But depends on how much sleep I get. But water, drink plenty of water, use the bathroom. I always try to use the bathroom after every round, just in case I can. That might be too much, but that's just how it always worked for me.
I as someone who, as I mentioned before, gets physical what's the word?
Anxiety?
Manifestations.
Oh.
Physical manifestations from anxiety is what it seems. Water, I highly recommend, because I know when I'm drinking water, it just helps regulate the body a lot more. So it helps even me in that regard. Because I know you said you're not a big eater. I usually just don't eat at all. So
I need something, because I can't battle. I can't think and be hungry usually at the same time. But yeah, these are, most of this is, I'd say, common sense, but also at the same time, years of practice, and just my biggest suggestions. So, yeah, anything else you want to touch on that?
I would say, just kind of going in, just plan for the day and what you bring, right? So, and I know you said bring all the cards, but I think you're more talking strictly about the deck
Yeah,
that you're playing.
yeah. Don't.
Plan what cards you intend to bring in general, not just your deck, right? What kind of trades do you want to bring? What kind of decks? What in addition to your main deck do you want to play in anticipation for side events for trading? Same with your mat. What accessories do you want to bring for whatever that may be? Because I highly recommend planning for that and trying to determine what you will actually need, so you're not lugging around a giant backpack,
Mhm.
which I often do, and it can kind of wear on you throughout the day, especially as you're standing in between rounds, or you just don't want to be carrying it around. So as if you can bring as little as possible, I would say that would be ideal, right?
Yeah,
Bring as little
yeah.
bring as little as you can, because it'll just it'll tire you out much less.
If you're at the Venetian, you have the ability to just go up to your room. For those who aren't, it's be prepared. It's hot. We're in the middle of July, and you're in Vegas, the desert itself. So,
Yep.
carrying around big backpacks is asking for a little bit of sweat. But yeah, obviously don't bring a Twin Suns deck because you're gonna go to day two. Everybody who listens to this, you've been blessed to get to day two, and Steven, you've been blessed to get to day three. Um, I guess we could just say it also here. Whoever gets to day three will be on the next episode. We'll talk about it at the end of this, but if you miss it at the end, we'll say it now. That's our little offering to everybody in the Omaha Alliance and Omaha area who's all going. So, but yeah, I'll roll into the next one if you got nothing else left. All right, let me. Oh, I just wrong. There we go. There we go. Alrighty. So, can you see everything? You good?
Yep.
Okay. We have been fortunate enough to have some Set 5 tournament results. Not a lot, but nonetheless very important. As you can see clearly right here, it is one character, one leader, and one base. Now these aren't giant player tournaments, so I'm not gonna sit here and say they should be your benchmark for everything. But nonetheless, this is information you can use, and it is actually very interesting once you dive a little deeper. Take the Initiative is another YouTube channel. They play a whole bunch of online tournaments. So we'll just check out what they've got going on here in the top four. Oh, look, 2 Han Solo blues. Would that have surprised you, Steven?
In the slightest.
What does surprise me is this Krennic, actually.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a little surprising. It doesn't surprise me a ton, just because I still think Villainy Green still has a lot of opportunity to, uh, showcase what they've got. I mean, they arguably have the strongest card out of the set, right?
One,
So
yeah,
if you know,
top 3 for sure.
yeah, top 3 card out of the set. So it's not like Villainy Green hasn't been good for a while. Kira was definitely good beforehand, and now with the new Vader, you definitely have room to
Yeah,
do some
it's
work.
it's almost ECL plus blue villain Vader or blue villain leader uh pool. You have your choices and they're all adequate in what they do. You have your Kira, your Krennic, your Gar, and your Kylo now, which we'll talk about a little bit too. I'm not going to dive into these lists, but I can leave Sudi, Sudi competitive hub underneath. The card pool is as what you probably would expect. Your force throws, your Poes, your Lukes, your crates, everything we've kind of seen now for a little while, except you have your Kiatis, your Yaddles, maybe your itinerant warriors. There's a whole bunch of new, not big, but pretty important cards that got added to these lists. Looks like we had another small win a carbonite bio. That's cool. I want to do that. We had 2 more Han2s take first and second place. So 2 tournaments in a row. But in total, we have 3 Han2s in this top 8. This is the only leader that was a duplicate in this top 8. Now, like I said, 21 players, not the biggest, but like for a tournament in between, right before the big, Grand Championship, Galactic Championship, it's like this is still information we can use.
I mean, if you wanted to, you could even go to the Melee link and see what everyone played.
That's fair. Let me see if it pulls up. Does that pull up for you?
Yep.
Okay, cool.
Because there were,
Got
21 players.
Han 1 blue. Okay. Oh no, that's Han 2 blue.
This is the top cut. That's the top 8.
Oh, it is. That is. Yep.
Then,
Darth Vader. Han. And we go back to Kira. And then this must have been just a drop or something. I don't know what that is. But
no, that means they submitted a paper copy.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
But, yeah.
Mother Talzin, 2 Mother Talzins just on the edge of it. You see a Cal with Temple of Destruction's kind of cool. Poe, ECL, another Talzin. There's a lot of new and spicy variety. It looks like it's making into these lists. This Dark Maul is actually really cool. I think it's really nice to see like when the starter leaders can do well. So that's exciting to me. And his ability is interesting right now, especially with all this like Han 2 running around. You just kind of have an answer to, or at least like can put on a little bit more pressure, which is nice. We'll go back to this. Check out at least the winning list here. Anything spicy? Crates, Lukes, Poes, Yodas, Cassian. That's a 1 Cassian. The Hammerhead, Red 5. Force Throw fell. This is cool. I've liked the Force Lightning inclusion I've seen going around. It helps set up your Anakin Skywalkers so that you can do the 2-2 split. For those who are wondering why it might be in there. Through mainboard Cheer It just to block your aggro matchups. Obviously you have your Grogu. Let's see, Ezra, they're still in there. Marin is kind of interesting, but that does give you some space reach, which is kind of nice into like the Vader matchup. Owen Lars is getting put in there as well, just because why not? It's pretty good. Mace and Bendu. I liked Bendu. I don't know. Oh yeah, there's crates. They're in there. I just don't understand why this ever puts ground units and then deck.
I think it's just the type of card that gets pulled in from SWODB or something. But
interesting. 2 main or sideboard bombing runs, which is probably for all the Vader matchup. Also confiscates for the Vader matchup. Graceful Purgle also for the Vader matchup. What the heck? And then just a redemption for fun, I guess. But that makes me angry.
No, I really do like the concept of Force Lightning. I'd love to be able to find room in the hero blue red decks that I'm playing around with because of, again, 6/6 Anakin, or well,
minus 3 minus 2 yeah.
Double -3/-3 for Anakin just makes it so much more insane.
Yeah.
I also like it because against all these Force Throw decks, it is just a 1-cost card that you can probably keep. You probably want to keep in hand a lot of the time and can just discard, and now it's only 1. It's also one of those cards where you can just pay 1 to turn off a crate, even if you can't kill it right away. It just has now turned it off, and you've taken only 1 damage for it. So there's a lot of reach for it.
It's something that I feel like I should be testing more, but I also don't know how I feel with Anakin consistent. Like, its -3 is very good. I won't, I don't want to say it's not. I think the list, like Han 2, that can run both Poe and Anakin very efficiently, are just better for it than some other versions of other Red Hero, like Rey and all that. I just think they're just a little bit too slow to have the the big unit plus the nuke spill. But I think it's in this list as well. So this is the 40-person tournament. For those who don't know, and this is an old Star Wars X-Wing thing, this is Paul Heaver. I figured out who this was because you and I were talking about the other day. Paul Heaver he won I think he won Star Wars X-Wing World Championships. I think it was 3 times. So this man is a devoted Star Wars and FFG gamer, but pretty cool to see someone from some of my old hobbies make his way over to this one too. So yeah, we're back on to another Hantu that won this tournament. Won every tournament this 3 weekends. And look at that. Did you see this on the side?
Oh, Aggrieved Parliamentian.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
I hadn't, I guess, noticed it right off the bat. It's definitely interesting for sure.
What am I thinking this is for? Obviously for your yeah, Kylo and Palpatine, or not Palpatine, but like Palp's Return matchup. So interesting.
Yeah, Kylo, Palp's Return. Also could be interesting if you're worried about other decks that are turning Anakin on. You could just put one of their hero or heroic or villainy card that they probably run significantly fewer of back in their deck, so their Anakin's not online.
Yeah. Yep. He's on 3 fell and 3 entrenched in the main too. That's wild.
It is a little interesting.
So
I mean, if you're worried about space, I mean, I know the feeling.
Yeah, you do. That's fair. You can. I mean, the 2 bombing run main plus the entrenched is just honestly, that's a good answer for. I might have to steal that one. Cool. Good shit or good stuff. I don't know. Hantu, I know we talked about it, and we'll make our guesses here in a little bit. I think Hantu is obviously the deck to beat. Does that make it the best deck in the format? How do you feel?
I mean, at least right now, it's hard to say otherwise.
That's fair.
I mean, after the event, we could very clearly. I mean, we could know after the event that something else just completely dominates, and it's just been flying under the radar for the time being. We'll have to see, right? It was kind of like that with Kira Data Vault leading into
True.
The regionals, or like, I mean, obviously everyone was big on it by then, but beforehand, it wasn't nearly as popular yet, right?
Yeah. Yeah. 100%.
So it's definitely considered the best deck as of right now. I think it's just that's what everyone was projecting to see or expected to be very good in anticipation of the set as well. So it's just kind of continuing on. Nothing's really taken over from there yet.
No.
So.
Well, we'll throw also onto this one because we didn't see it nearly as much in the other 2 events, just because they're one top 8 had a few, but one top 4 was just this is 8 different leaders on almost we have 3 different special bases, 3 force bases, and then 2 standard 30 HP bases. This meta is wild. Like Palp Colossus finding its way into like kind of this like it's aggressive, but it's mostly mid-range meta. There's the Vaders, there's the Anakin, or not the Anakins, the Sabines still running around. Like they're not gonna not be there, especially with how good they are. Then you have your counter aggro matchups with the Cad Bane. You have the decks that'll slow the aggro matchups even further down, like Talzin. It's just really cool to see that even if this doesn't shake out at the Galactics and we just see like 5 Hans, which is very possible. I am excited to see that some of these leaders, like you change a few things, and maybe a few of these leaders, any of these leaders, could have taken this down to me.
Yep.
The Palp is really cool. I hope I don't run into it, just because I'm probably going to be on some version of a mid-range deck, and I don't want to see it. But if you got the balls to make that call and just hope that you avoid all the Vaders and Sabines, then Palp's kind of good. So
I am just happy, and I mean, I think this event it's still a minor tournament, but it was 44 players, so it's a relatively smaller or PQ size, right?
yeah,
And I think it's just a good sign in anticipation of Worlds that there is a lot of opportunity for the meta to still be wide open. It's not going to just be all, it's not a Django meta, right?
yeah, yeah,
It's not a Django meta or technically a Han 2
or
meta
a Boba meta.
where it's 25% of all decks, right?
Yeah.
So you still have to probably plan to face a wide variety of decks, especially if you're playing in day 1. Day 2, obviously, it'll probably be much much less variety for
Yes.
sure, but it should make it for a fun event and not just a boring. I've played this deck for the 6th time today. As
Yeah, you should
as some people
hopefully.
did at regionals.
Yeah, yeah. Poor Daniel.
Daniel.
I'm gonna counteract one part of that, because I agree with everything else. The leaders may be diverse, but I would expect that you run into force throw decks probably 4 times out of your 8-person Swiss throughout the day. So,
yeah, for sure.
And that could be so many different things. That can be Talzin, that can be Han, that can be Yoda, that can be Anakin, that could be what else am I missing? There's just there's Green Hero Sabine, that could be Han 2, or not Green Hero Sabine. There's Green Hero. There's so much. Yes. Or
like Luke Pilot. I don't know.
Yeah, there's Luke Pilot, even if you really felt like it, but I would be hard pressed to see Luke Pilot running it, but I don't know. I would just be prepared to figure out what you do when you get force throw. And I know the situation's mostly different every time, but make sure your board state's ready for it. Less so than your hand, or both, truthfully. But
on the plus side, only 2 decks with force throw made top 8.
That is true. I will and you know what's surprising? This is more surprising, this Green Talzin.
Yeah.
So Gar Saxon was also really cool to see, but
oh yeah, I like to see the Gar. That really excites me. I still think Gar is massively underrated, because the shields, like people aren't just running generic removal in the same way, right? Takedowns down.
Yep.
Everyone's on open fire instead. Plus the force throws and such, right? So those shields are going to be very effective in keeping your board alive. Honestly, the only time where it doesn't really matter is if they Anakin you. That's really the worst thing. But they have to wait till 6 resources, and you're hoping that the game's over, by that turn or a turn later, anyways.
Yeah, I've seen this deck pump damage for like 15 in 2 actions. That's just hitting you for like a surprise strike, Phantom for 7, and then who knows what else. It hurts. And she and Flurry Vader, we went into the format, or like into the set releasing being like, this Vader is probably pound for pound the best card, like single card, but Kiati's probably the best card in the set because of what it can do for your match, your game, and how you play. But they're both insane, and also another big card to prepare for. But
yeah, good stuff from Ryan on this, because this definitely interests me. It does kind of feel like another blue-green control deck, but much different still, because you're actually able to use the force base, right? Which I don't get the same feel for Talzin Red. So yeah, good job for Ryan. Remember him from regionals. I played him in day 2 of regionals. So
there you go. See, I've liked Red, but that's also because I think it just has the Fallen Lightsaber plus her ability is such a powerhouse, like momentum shift. If you can make sure that they have a clear board, which isn't really hard with blue red villain. So, but yeah, that's kind of the end of what we wanted to talk about with those results. And maybe if we see something else in between, it'll be important to notice. But from there, just remember, the meta will probably be bent around how fast or how good Han is, and then we'll work our way around it. And if you have the answer, I hope to see it, and I hope you do well with it. But at least in our testing, I don't think we've found that there's an answer, and it might just be a beat it or play it kind of scenario. But without more results until then, I'm still okay to say the meta is mostly open.
Yep.
Cool. Let's get back to the main, and there we go. Perfect. This is a great time. We are 40 minutes in. Our official galactic guesses. We talked about it a little bit last week. We try to be pretty spot on here at Talkin Town, where we once did 7 out of 8, right?
For Denver, I think. Was it Denver or was it Richmond?
I think it was Richmond.
Okay.
We were really close, but
Yeah.
you know what? The meta being so wide open, this one's going to be tough.
Yeah.
I would go onto a limb and say that we could get. What would you say? 2 or 3 Han2 blues?
I'm just gonna say 2.
You want to start with 2? I think 2 is a great starting point. Let's fill out the other 6 then. And if we can't figure out a 6th, then we can go back and be like, add a Han2.
Okay.
I don't think Vader will make it to top 8. No Vader yellow.
I'm going to agree with you just because I definitely think the deck got weaker
Mm-hmm.
and it didn't make top cut at regionals.
Even sorry, even if it had, because it bubbled with just like a very small percentage difference, which was just a gamble at that point. I think the other decks have so much room to tech against it. I think every Han2 list we looked in there had 1 to 2 bombing runs. Maybe in the side or the main.
Yeah.
So
I'll have to account for it.
Yeah. And I think that if Talzin is going to be people's sleeper pick, I think CAD has clean answers into it. I think that Lurking Tie is a very good card, but I think people are going to be ready for it as best they possibly can. And yeah, I think we can both agree that it won't, which is good. So we're both locked in for 2 Han2s still. Han2 blues specifically. Are you thinking any green?
I think it's Han2 blue. I think green is not going to be consistent enough.
I unfortunately agree. As though I like the archetype because like the unit recursion is really interesting. Blue has just better units, period, and better removal. So
yeah, it's got recovery. There's recovery in the deck. It does not feel like there's any recovery in Han Green. You could argue that like Mace is a form of recovery or Yoda is a form of recovery, but it's kind of conditional, right? Because you need to have just enough damage, and you need to have the Force. And if you get behind and you've lost the Force as Han 2, all your recovery options just don't exist.
Yeah. What are you going to do, in those scenarios where like your opponent has a little bit of restore and you have 0? There's no building your way back up to a health total that's even on even ground. Especially when you're both, getting up to crate at the same time. It's like one person will play their crate, and if the person has, the green doesn't have removal, what happens? you just lose.
Like if you just don't have initiative and then they have crate on curve and you've just been trading back and forth and they don't have a board state they can trade, you're probably just gonna lose.
I would like to say probably one CAD makes into the top cut.
I agree. That was also going to be my next pick.
I think the deck is in a very good position. It's just one of those things that it's like the second thing that you cannot prepare for but hope to not see. The things that prepare for CAD either just smash it or just don't care or are more than happy okay with giving up like one bad matchup percentage.
Yeah.
Talkin Town is still very good. It makes the Han 2 player has to be very hesitant about what they do on their turn 1, their turn 2, and a lot of the time if they take something, or not capture, but like if they do Talkin Town something, the Han 2 blue player might not care, but the CAD player is going to be fine with getting a massive HP lead or base damage lead. Yeah. They can probably push like 15, sometimes 10 to 15 without much concern. And if they can avoid the Chariot or figure out their plan to deal with the Chariot, then they're better off than most decks, because that's kind of where mid-range is kind of like running into its own blocks right now. Kira, I'm going to guess one Kira Data Vault. How do you feel about that?
Only if it's Woo.
I'm
not convinced. I don't think I'm convinced that Woo is even going to be playing Kira.
What do you think he'll be playing? I'll guess that too.
I'm trying to even remember some of the decks that he's played. He's really just kind of played Kira this whole time, hasn't he?
He played Quinlan at Denver.
He did play Quinlan at Denver.
Yep.
See, if I had to guess, I would assume Woo would be on either. I assume he's just going to be either on Han 2, or he's going to be on what is it? I'm going to guess. Part of me wants to say Gar.
He's either on an ECL deck, or I think he joined the boat and hopped on Han 2 blue. That's my guess. And it's got to be probably ECL. I could see ECL Kylo. I could see ECL. Actually, I don't think he'd play Kylo, but I think that deck has legs, and you should be concerned for it. Sideboard space for it is probably pretty important. We saw it there in some of those lists because obviously Kylo can get to this gigantic unit. On a side note, I played a Kylo yellow deck last night. Have you seen that?
Yeah, I've seen him.
How did it function? Did it play evacuate at all?
It did not. I'm trying to remember exactly how the game went. He kind of just killed me with Kylo because he just flipped Kylo at like I didn't have enough pressure on him, so he just put a snapshot reflexes, a shadowed intentions, a constructed lightsaber on it, and so he was hitting me for like 14 because of the raid 2.
Yeah.
So yeah.
There's a 1-kill combo that you can play with Kylo. That's really fun. If you have Sith Holocron, you can pop and Admiral Mahdi. You can pop the Mahdi. So I hit my opponent for 24 in 2 actions last night. It was pretty fun. But then he immediately rivals followed me the next turn, and that was it. Oh.
Yeah. Sounds about right.
Yeah. Dang. All right, so we've locked. We didn't lock in Akira, but I think Kira Data Vault will make at least one. I think the deck is still very good. If not, I could see a Kira period making it. I'm trying to pull up a.
See, I'm so torn on that.
We can differ. We don't have to be the exact same. We both agreed on one CAD Talkin Town.
I mean, I don't know that I would lock in Kira per se, but I definitely think there's going to be like a blue-green villainy deck.
Okay. Let me see.
I think Agar will make it.
Think Agar. I think if Agar makes it, I don't think it's yellow, but I could be wrong.
I tend to agree. I just don't know if I want to say that it would be, because here's the thing, like yellow still has She and Flurry, right? Like they still have She and Flurry. It's just it feels like it kind of plays outside of what Gar Yellow wants to do.
She and Flurry?
Like, well, right, but you obviously want to She and Flurry the Vader.
Yeah,
and you have to be at 7 resources, and that those Gar decks kind of just it really feels like you need to end that turn at 6 resources, if not earlier, or literally first action swing with your Gar at 7, right? So
treat it like it's a Sabine ECL. It's like you max out at Wrecker, and I know like there's versions of the deck that read a ton of timelies in the Sabine ECL, and it's like then you just have to focus on getting up to 7. But also, like, if you've blown your ECL and not used it on Wrecker before that in the middle of the game, then that's a whole different story. But yeah.
Yep. But I don't know. It's hard to say that, because I mean, yellow gets Surprise Strike. You have Shin Hati.
Very good. Yep.
So those are just additional cards that are going to be effective in that color. And you can still play some just yellow stuff like Lurking. You can play Lurking and a few other space stuff that people aren't necessarily prepared for space, and they can't really side in their space hate that they have for Vader Yellow in the situation a lot of the time.
Most of the time, Gar will win a race. Most of the time. So be prepared, And
the other thing too is you have 30 health with yellow.
Yeah. You're not your traditional ECL. You have more HP than most Hantu Blues. I mean all Hantu Blues, but probably. So are you locked in for a Gar Yellow or just a Gar?
I'm gonna just say a Gar.
Okay. We gotta quantify these, all right? We gotta say, like, is the leader and the base accurate? Like, if you get them both, is it 1 point? But if you get just the leader, is it half a point?
Well, I think we have to do 2 points if you get both, and 1 point if you get the leader.
Okay. We'll get some points, because I said Kira Dadavault and you said blue-green villainy. So
I mean, that's so vague. Okay?
That is vague.
That's super vague. I have to say, so when I say blue-green villainy, I'm gonna say like Kira, Krennic, or Talzin.
Okay. So
like in that woodwork.
Yeah. But how do we figure that out?
I guess I just have to just choose, don't I? All right, fine. I'll do Kira Green. I'll just do Kira Green.
You'll do Kira Green. So you're willing to bet the leader, but you aren't willing to bet the base.
Yep.
Okay, that's fair. At least we can mostly agree then. I think Gar is fun. I played a lot of it, so at least in ECL. I am gonna say it's not gonna make it. Okay. I could definitely see one being in the top 16. It just has some sputtering issues where yellow is better about this, because obviously you have your hot shot, you have just the ability to get more pump into the board. But I think that the community as a whole is probably harder on Kylo ECL right now than Gar is. And because I think Kylo has better answers into Han. Just my opinion. But that's just how I feel. I don't have a 5th deck. I don't think we're going to see any Han 1s in top 8. I'd be incredibly surprised in this hand hate meta that we're in right now. Quinlan. I do think we're going to see one Quinlan.
I agree.
I think Quinlan is being slept on.
Underrated.
Are you saying Quinlan Talkin Town or Quinlan Red Force?
Talkin Town.
Okay, just making sure. I know people are there's dabbling in both. So
I
I'm
feel
at,
like the Talkin Town just is better suited for the meta.
I 100% agree. I don't think we're gonna see a Talzin, and if we did, I think we would see it in red. But
See, I'm just not convinced on that deck. I like could it? Sure, but I'm just not.
I think Force Lightning is a thing we're sleeping on a little bit. And
oh, that's fair.
yeah, I think Force Lightning with Talzin is just a we haven't it's been around since set 1, but this is truly it's $15 now almost, which is crazy.
Like, don't get me wrong, I think it's a solid deck. I just don't know that it can consistently navigate over that many rounds into a top 8 cut. Like, because it's a force reliant deck, right? And we all know force reliant decks can just struggle because they just never get access to the force. I think that it's got really weird turns because it's just missing certain resource turns that you need. So I just don't think it has the tools necessary to make a top cut.
Yeah, it's something that I think future sets will give to it more. And I mean I love the deck because it's a lot of fun. But and sometimes they just don't have the answer to the Fallen Lightsaber on Talzin. But when they do, I will happily force throw my Luke to kill a Talzin. I think honestly that's a fine trade to me, because if I do that, I think I can just win that game.
Yeah, because like if you say Talzin red, right? I mean, after the 5 resource turn where they drop the Talzin, I've played against that deck a number of times, and I'm trying to think, well, what am I scared of, right? I mean, I think some of them maybe play Crate, but it's like that's so many turns to go, and after that, I mean, what are their bombs from like 6 to 8?
Yeah.
Like, I'm sure they're there, but nothing that frightens me enough to be that worried about it.
All right, so then I have you locked in. You're at 6 decks at the moment because Quinlan was the last one we approved. How about you feel about Sabine?
I'm very torn.
Are you saying 1 or 2? Or are you saying 0 or 1?
I am torn on whether or not it'll make it.
Really?
No.
I think Sabine ECL is something I think they're going to shift to a heavy space focus, and they're going to run away with games that I think even Sabine Data Vault might be a better pick. There might be Restore in the meta, but Sabine often doesn't care. Sabine can go faster than that sometimes. I'm going to put that there's 1 in top 8. How about you?
Okay. I'm going to say none.
None? Okay. I've got both of our typed up at the moment, so.
Okay.
And that puts me at 7 because I am also going to include Kylo ECL. That might be a bold one. You said you don't like it? Or you said you do?
I don't like it.
That's fair. I think if you had said that the Galactic Championship was this weekend, I think Kylo would be in a much better position. But I think that someone's going to brute force their way through with this deck. Or at least try to.
I feel like Data Vault's more likely.
Think so? That's fair. That's where I think Kira is just still better. But
I mean, don't get me wrong. That's fair. I like the Kylo Data Vault in the same sense because it does help you cycle through the deck in the same way.
Yeah, it keeps you also
not nearly as good against aggro because you don't have the same barrage flip turn, right?
Yeah.
In order to stabilize as quickly. but it is just kind of one of those decks where you flip Kylo and you can just win.
True.
So,
You know what? Most Kylos statistically still probably die to a ECL record.
Vader.
Oh, that too. So that's my only, but I can understand both, because also Kylo is somewhat naturally resistant into a force throw meta. Just because you already want to be throwing those things in there, so it's like it's not that bad of a problem. But also, if they're hitting you, if you're hitting your hand hard enough, then even Kylo can't kind of get his way out of it unless you've got a Pershing on the board. So I put one Sabine ECL. Did you want one or no? No Sabine. Okay.
No Sabine.
So here's where we're at right now. I've got mine. Mine is 2 Han Blue, 1 Cad Talkin Town, 1 Kira Data Vault, 1 Quinlan Talkin Town, 1 Kylo ECL, and 1 Sabine ECL. So I have one floating spot. You are at 2 Han 2s, specifically blue, 1 Cad Talkin Town. You have 1 Kira green, 1 Gar with no base type yet. I'll just put Lake Country King. I'm just kidding. And then Quinlan Talkin Town. So that puts you at 6.
That's so tough.
Yeah. How about Palpatine?
See, that's the thing. I feel like there's
Finding his way.
a control deck. Well, it's just some mega control deck that just goes over the top that I feel like just navigates through, and I'm trying to figure out what I think that is.
Is this a good meta for Gar? Or for Bosk? Am I being crazy? No?
No. I don't think it's good at all. Are you talking Boss Green?
I was thinking Bosk Blue, but like, tell me why.
So, Boss Blue, no.
Really?
And the reason that I say Boss Blue is because one of the things that it struggles with is the having enough removal for everything. And when you have all these decks that are going to be drawing a bunch of cards, and then they can just play smaller stuff. There's also, I think Triple Fell in the main deck is also pretty common at this point.
That's fair.
I just don't think that it's going to be able to.
Even if they got to the late game, they couldn't close it.
Yeah, I just don't know that they'll have enough cards in order to remove stuff effectively enough. I mean, you can say, well, Deathmark, yeah, but it just feels like the Force decks will probably be able to play enough cards eventually for it to not matter. Now, green, on the other hand, I think could possibly be okay, just because of its ability to ramp. And so like that's one where I could potentially see doing it.
It's still a really good deck, or it still has the ability to draw cards where some decks just don't. So you always have to kind of remember, the bounties, but yeah.
I mean, I see the green and I'm like, you have the option to be able to play Emperor Palpatine. You can play both devs if you want. You can play
Relentless if you felt like it. Yeah,
you still get Vader.
Palp's Return.
Yeah.
No, it's something to consider, because I don't think the meta's like. I think majority of the mid-range decks can still deal a decent amount of damage while you're ramping, but they're not like, aggro level damage. So you can get away with like sacrificing some of your HP, but yeah. I definitely don't think a boss is making it, but it just popped into my head.
You think Anakin will make it?
That's what I've been trying to figure out. Anakin plays the super hard initiative game, where it's like it can.
That's why I don't think they can.
Yeah, but he's such a crowd favorite. It wouldn't surprise me if one did. But it's also like, I think it's on the least likely of the, like right now I'd put There's some hero blue green that I feel like I'm just missing. I know it's probably Ray still, but I really hope I just don't see it. I'm just kind of ignoring it. There's just
the Ray data ball.
Yeah. Because I mean, force throw is bad against them, but also like I'm not. What do they'll probably have a 1-cost unit just to throw away, or a 2-cost unit because that's just what they do.
But then on the other hand, are they able to effectively manage things like how do they effectively clear a Chirrut? Are they still playing well?
Yes.
I guess because they don't have access to open fire, they're probably playing a good at least 2 takedowns still.
I think if we
like, how do you?
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
But if you don't, so you can't manage Chirrut. You probably don't even have ways to deny your opponent from gaining the force. So, you don't have that kind of advantage of denying them the force in the same sense, unless you get to, maybe leader flip turns, and then you can deny them. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm seeing it at the moment.
I'm gonna throw my hat in the ring. I've got 2 things I think it could be. I think there could be an Obi-Wan blue that sneaks through because
new Obi-Wan.
Yeah. It sits in that blue-green archetype, and that's one of those things that you'll just get stat checked if you're not prepared to play the matchup, or if you haven't already. It's kind of lower on the list of things, but also it just, in the right scenario, it's hard to deal with an Obi-Wan with an experience on it into a Chirrut with an experience on it, and then he's hitting you with a General's Blade, and suddenly there's a Luke on turn 5. So, or it's a Poe ECL or Data Vault, but I could see Poe skipping into this.
Interesting.
At the end of the last season, he was popping up, or at the end of the last set, he was popping up in placements higher and higher, and I've seen a lot of just traction that he might be equivalent to Sabine at the moment, because they do the same things if you want to, or they do very similar things. And if your opponent can't deal with the Poe upgraded unit or the piloted unit, he'll put out just about the same amount of damage as Sabine will, but also have the ability to be, redeployed, used again, and play in a lane that people are not focusing on right now, which is incredibly important.
That's fair. I can see that.
I would probably put it at Poe ECL if I had to, but that's my hope as well. I think that would lock me in.
That locks you in.
Yep. And I'm willing to die on this hill.
I'm racking my brain. I think I have to up to 3 Han 2 blues.
That's what I was like. If I don't go Poe, that's what I was just gonna say as well. Because I think that
I have to go up.
So you're missing 1 card or 1 leader.
Missing 1 leader. Trying to think what else I could think of. That is very tough. You know what? I am gonna go with here, let me look here. To that.
There's a lot to it's pretty obnoxious because
What is?
just the I mean, they're all good decks, which is really cool, but like the guessing part of this is like, it ultimately part of this is like figuring out what we're trying to prepare against too. So
yeah, it's so tough.
I don't think there's going to be a lot of people on Gar, but I hope that it does well. So
yeah, man. Man, this is so difficult. I feel like more and more I want to say a
Yoda?
Talkin deck. Oof. Do I think Yoda? Do I think Yoda into this? I mean, because if let's, I mean, if we think about it, so screw it. We'll say Yoda.
Oh.
We'll say Yoda because I think there's a number of players that I'm thinking of that are pretty good that can pilot that deck well, that aren't even Omaha players. So
I think I mean he gained probably one of the most unique cards of the set too. And just as everyone else is trying out new stuff, why not? Ray is really fun and really cool to see. I hope more decks get to play and use that card in the future. But it is just handcrafted for Yoda at the moment. And then on top of that, while we're here, so we've got you locked in. 3 Han Blue, 1 Cat Talkin Town, 1 Kira of some color, or Kira Green, don't know which base. Gar, don't know which base, right? Or are you?
I'm not. I'm leaning yellow.
Okay, I'll put you in for yellow. And Quinlan, and 1 Yoda, I'm assuming red. Okay. All right. And we'll compare in about 2 weeks from that and see how we did. A little side note, because I saw this also mentioned in the KTOD video. They talked about the new ruling for how triggers are, when something is drawn off the top of your deck, because Ray is, I think, is Ray technically a 1 of 1 right now, where she is a card that reveals like that? I know C3PO has, it's like, if you called it the correct number, then draw.
Yeah.
So
yeah, well that's the only one. Yeah,
yeah.
Ray's the only one that I can think of where it like is triggering during draw, and other cards exist that you have to finish the resolution before you can use the Ray, right? So
Yeah. So what's important about this is, so you use Yoda, all right? You draw Ray, you reveal to your opponent that you drew Ray, you then put Ray into your hand and resolve the trigger, correct? Or do you just resolve the trigger when you show Ray?
No. So with Yoda, you'll draw off of Yoda.
Yep.
You'll reveal the Ray. You kind of have to keep that separate.
Yep.
So that way, and then you cannot put that Ray
That
on
specific
top or
Ray.
bottom.
Yeah.
That specific Ray cannot be placed on top or bottom if you want to still trigger the effect. So you essentially draw that Ray, put it off to the side, and then figure out what you want to do to finish resolving your Yoda effect.
Mm-hmm.
And then, assuming you did not decide to just not trigger Ray and put that on top and bottom, then you just show it again and then reveal it. The other scenario is if you're playing, what is it, Lothal Insurgent?
Yeah, that's what he mentioned, where your opponent reveals a card on your turn and then immediately discards a card.
Yep. So yeah, it's if your opponent draws a card and then randomly discards,
Mm-hmm.
right? So so you draw off of Insurgent. Oh, hey, you do that. Well, you reveal, and then you have to randomly discard. And well, it's I know a lot of people do this anyways with randomization, but they just count cards out and then roll a dice. That's probably what you're going to have to do in this scenario. There isn't really any other way. And then you'll trigger the Ray afterwards, which in that scenario, if it gets discarded still, you can still trigger. Because it still remains in a public knowledge area.
Okay. It's something to just be, it's something just to be very mindful of, because if you run into your opponent playing this, you need to make sure that they aren't, basically what you could call it, double dipping. I take this Ray, I reveal it and then throw it right back on top of my deck to then like C3PO, Red Squadron, whatever draw card you can think of, to then just remanipulate that ability, because that ability is very good. But also, your opponent is playing a very mechanically difficult deck to like completely cycle through all the time. But you observe it. You have to observe them while they're doing it, because if your opponent does something that requires them to draw a card and then show it, you need to make sure they also need to make sure that they are playing that correctly, or else you don't know if that was a card that was pulled out of their hand, and you have to be very certain about that.
Yeah. I know a lot of people are really confused on it. To me, it makes perfect sense because, at least in my background, like, again, I'm a Yu-Gi-Oh player. You cannot trigger cards in the middle of a resolution.
Mm-hmm.
All that will occur after the fact. Now, granted, in like Yu-Gi-Oh, you have cards that can miss timing, but regardless, so if you're in the middle of resolving your Yoda, you draw, put one on top or bottom. I think a lot of people are saying you trigger the ray right then and there, which, I mean, from a game mechanics perspective, doesn't make sense to me. To me, it's more so you would just reveal it for convenience sake of like, hey, this is going to happen, but it would technically trigger after the resolution, because you can't trigger something in the middle of an effect resolving, right?
Mm-hmm.
But that's just me. I know Magic players apparently are like, no, you trigger the stuff like during the effect resolution or something.
That's what's confusing about it to me as well, is that, so when the ray is drawn, when it goes to my hand, because your hand is not public knowledge. Your opponent might know that there's a ray in there, but if I throw that into my hand, shuffle my hand, you don't know where it is. So like that's where it gets confusing to me, is because I should be allowed to basically show, or in my opinion, at least in my card game experience, I should be able to put that ray back on top. I'm pretty frankly glad you can't, because I think that'd be pretty good.
Yeah.
But I think
that's where it comes in.
Yeah.
Where I think, like, technically you're not, like, I feel, and the way Star Wars worked out is you resolve your effect, right?
Mm.
And then you don't, you can't nest trigger something in the middle of an effect resolving.
Yeah, or else crate would be like bananas.
Yeah, or like same with Ewing, right? You play your Ewing and you're triggering all these, maybe when plays or ambushes in the middle of your Ewing resolution, which is not how the game plays. So it's like, you do that, and if you put it on top, well, it's now no longer able to be revealed, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because it's no longer in your hand. But then one could argue that you can't trigger it from, like, if it gets discarded to your discard, which I don't know. I'd have to double check on that, but because it's public, at least you can arguably reveal.
Yeah, it may not come up at all for most people, truthfully. There probably won't be that too many people on Yoda. I know he did get the new cool toy, but I mean, I guess it's still a 4-star deck, so. Yep. So yeah, we've got our top 8s locked in. I'm gonna throw out a couple things that I think are gonna be probably the least statistical things we should expect. Red Hero Blue will probably be the most colored combination, period. I think Force Throw will be, or at least I'd bet Red Hero Blue makes up 20% of the meta, without a doubt. That's a big number. But
so you think Red Blue Hero in general will be 20%?
I bet so.
That color combination.
I think it's got 4 leaders that could run that. And Han is already probably going to be the most played deck. No.
And you assume it'll probably be what, 12%?
I bet Han could break 15. But I think Han could hit 15. I don't know if Han Blue could hit 15. I hope it does, because I think Han 2 is just better, or Han 2 Blue is just better. But I think that Red Blue Hero, the pool, could hit 20%.
Okay.
Ray.
I'm gonna say 22% of the meta will be Red Blue Hero.
Okay. Let me write these down. 20% hero. You got 22%. I think the single most popular special base is going to be ECL.
I think the most popular base will be ECL.
Most special base. Sorry. I don't count the
bases.
No.
Special bases. No. Okay.
No.
You think ECL will be the most popular? Yeah, I'm gonna. Oof, that's so tough though.
It is.
It is
tough.
I feel like the field is wider for ECL. I feel like you just have a lot more things that can play ECL, but it's all about like, well, how many CADs are we gonna get? How many Quinlans are we gonna get? How many? Like, I don't know. There's a number of random things, like maybe Pilot Luke Red, right?
Yeah.
So, it's just little things like that. I'm gonna agree.
Okay.
Yeah, I just don't know that there's enough popularity on the Talkin Town leaders that are going to get used.
Yeah, it's basically between 3 Talkin Town leaders, and 2 of them are the primaries, where it's Quinlan CAD. So, but also like the meteoric fall of Data Vault should be observed, because
Yep.
You know, we looked at those 2 top 8s, and Colossus was in there, and that was on a palp. It's like, where did this go? And I don't know what its percentage will be, but I think it'll finally be like, we've shifted back from this gigantic Data Vault meta that ended the last set, which thank the Lord.
Right. Yeah, I think it's just a tone shift, right? Because the Data Vault was almost kind of like I have more resources than you, but that was more resources going late. Now it feels like the game is no. Between my hand and board, I just have more resources than you.
Okay.
So it just feels like that tonal shift of, instead of I'm just gonna go later and have more cards, it's I just have more cards.
Yeah.
Like immediately, as of this moment.
And every turn after, I'm gonna just Kiati until I've drawn, like,
yep.
Oh no, you only have so much removal. It's a non-issue mostly. I just had it. Oh my gosh. What was it? Oh my gosh. Heroic is obviously going to be, at least in my opinion, the majority played card pool. I don't think it's 3-1 though. Like, I don't think we're going to see 75% heroic. But it wasn't bases.
I'm going to say 60% will be heroic.
You think 60% heroic?
Yep.
60-40 heroic villainy.
Well, let me double check. Let me think.
I think that's a good number. I mean,
I'm wondering if I go up. I'm just trying to think if I go up at all. Because, like, what are the villainies? So you got Kylo, Kira, Krennics, Guards, Cads, Talzins, other generic stuff. Like, you'll have some people, I'm sure, that are still playing, like, Iden or Hondo or whatever with Krennic. So, yeah, I'm going to say 60%.
That's fair. I'm going to split it at 55-45. Actually, I'm going to go 35, 65. 65, 35, heroic villainy. Man, I had one more. Oh yeah. All right, this is the last one. What do you think is the best performing pilot?
The best performing pilot leader.
Yep. There's a lot right now, and each one of them is I don't know, it's this strange, like, they're fine tuning this niche of, like, I've kept saying it. I feel like I'm gonna be I hopefully not proven right, but I think that these things like Poe, like Luke, I don't think Vader's gonna be the best performing pilot leader. He might be the most played, but I don't think he's it.
Yeah, I'm torn. Yeah, I'm really torn because options are like Vader, Poe, Luke. I guess maybe Boba. Um,
We haven't. Yeah, Boba is something that's
for
been.
all, wouldn't Han 4 be something?
That'd be pretty funny. I could definitely see Boba being like a sleeper as well. That might probably be one of the better Data Vault decks left around. I mean, everything.
I do not think the Data Vault deck will be good enough.
Really?
It doesn't
Okay.
have. Yeah, if anything, I think it's either because they go still pure yellow or they do what I like and play it blue.
Oh, fair.
Because I think the blue version does beat hero.
It has its chance.
Green does not beat hero in my opinion. You just don't push the damage quickly enough.
They also have units that are all giant and a lot of restore built in. So.
Yep.
Exactly. Yeah.
And all it takes is for them to open fire you like once and clear something else with a force throw, and you're kind of behind.
Tis the most case there. Tis the case for most things, unfortunately. I think Luke could come out of nowhere, but I think it's gonna be Poe. That's just me. Maybe I'm just biased on this question, but I like the pilot leaders. You could also ask what's the best performing set 5 leader, in which case none on our list are on, or at least on mine. You also put no new leaders on your list. So
yeah, I'm gonna just say Luke is the best performing pilot.
Okay.
And then for best set 5 leader, I'm just gonna have to go with. I think just Talzin makes the most sense.
I agree with that. I think I'm gonna hedge with you on that one. I think Talzin is probably the hardest one to play around, because if you can't manage to keep her board down, she will run over a game. Yep. All right, so I got us locked in on everything. We'll make sure to compare those in about 2 weeks. Any last minute predictions, guesses, since we won't be here next week?
Nothing I can think of.
All right. If we think about it, we can always post like a YouTube chat and be like, "Hey, we're adding this."
So. Yeah, we could do short or something.
Yeah. That's a good spot to jump into the last thing we've got for this episode. This will be the last episode of I guess our last non-live episode is what I should have said. Episode 20, which will be 2 weeks from today, and today is the 15th. We're recording on this. We post on the 16th, so 7:30. The end of July will be the last episode of what we are calling Season 0 to match the competitive Season 0. We will be jumping into, basically, I'm going to redo some of the graphics, try and get some of our settings tuned in, maybe learn how to edit, just maybe some surprises along with that. But it's been awesome for 19 episodes now, just getting to do this for you guys, and with obviously thank you, Steven, for being here and telling me that you're doing just okay. So we will be doing one live episode 2 weeks from now, like I said, just a post recap for Worlds. As I said, we'll be inviting any one of our Omaha Alliance folks, or I can include the Spacers. How do you feel about that? If they're interested,
I was gonna say,
okay.
if we can get any on, I would definitely include them.
Cool. If they're down for it, it's also extended to them. I'd love to get as many folks as I can. Anybody who gets to day 3, you are officially invited. I'm excited and nervous and anxious and just ready to be there already. I'm not ready to sweat, but I'm ready to sweat playing the game. So, we're ready to go. You got anything for sending us off?
Just enjoy Worlds. I know we're stressing about it, but at the end of the day,
I'm gonna
you're
have
there
so
to have
much
fun,
fun.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, just enjoy yourself. Say hello.
Yeah, if you see us, say hi.
Don't gamble too much.
Mm,
Make sure you've identified what you can gamble.
yes. Put your, showcase Vader right there on the table and see what happens. See what the dealer says. You've probably spent a decent amount of money getting that from the side event, so you gotta,
Yep. Make sure you have a shirt on your back on the way home.
Yes, or a flight home. Or a drive.
Well, I said on your way home.
Yeah, you can get on a plane without a shirt, right? I don't know. I don't know anymore. Yeah, I bought a one-way ticket, didn't you guys? So,
nope.
Ultimately, the whole point of this is that we're getting everybody out there. We're gonna have an incredible time. I'm just excited to see everybody in their cool Omaha Alliance swag. The sleeves, the play mats, the hats, the flags, the backpacks, the coins, or the initiative token. I feel like I'm missing things. Sweatpants, jackets. I think we've ordered just close to most of the things that we can, and it's gonna be such a good time.
I know I'll be there in my jersey. I got it.
Shame.
Sunday. I just got it Sunday, so.
Say my new one gets here Thursday because of the sizing issue. So, but I am gonna bring my missized one that they let me keep, and I'm gonna ask that all the Omaha Alliance folks sign it for me. I think it would be kind of cool.
There you go.
Commemorate the event for the fun we are going to have. Even better,
There you go.
But yeah. I think that's a good way to end this one. Any last minute stuff? Questions, comments, concerns?
No. Just let us know.
Yeah.
Comment as always. So.
Yeah. Omaha Alliance is going to take this thing down. So we'll see you in the next episode because you're going to be recording it. No, because you have won the event. That's why. So, in the meantime, peace out, guys.